If your pilot is a she, and she looks 10 shades darker than someone from Sicily, just end it there.
I'd go to the zoo if I wanted to watch monkey play ball.
I love Hitler. Everyone that votes no is going to the chamber.
I'm ready to watch people burn now.
Can we fix the showers? Chambers don't fit the aesthetic.
Missouri doesn't like hits.
If we ever had a leak of this chat, we would be cooked for real, for real.
We have some bombshell news right now. Politico just dropped an exclusive article showing text messages between young Republican leaders from across the country praising Hitler, using the N-word dozens of times, making racist, xenophobic, and absolutely abhorrent remarks over Telegram, hoping that these messages would never see the light of day. Politico just dropped several months worth of Telegram messages from leaders, young Republican leaders in New York, Kansas, Arizona, and Vermont. I encourage you to go read all of these messages on Politico's website because it's truly bombshell and stunning. And it shows how young Republicans are interacting with one another behind the scenes right now, in an era where the Trump White House has really enabled some of the worst language and actions we've seen. They joke about the gas chambers, slavery, rape, and more, all while trying to court the White House's endorsement, Trump's endorsement in a Republican Party race. Spread the word. People need to see this. Follow along for all the news you need to know about, and go check out Politico.
Vile leaked chat messages show leaders of young Republican groups allegedly called black people monkeys, gushed about their love of Hitler, and spoke graphically of raping their enemies and driving them to suicide. A shocking new report from Politico shows the disturbing alleged chats obtained by the outlet, which were reportedly made by young Republican leaders via Telegram over the course of several months. According to the messages, Kansas Young Republicans Vice Chair William Hendrix, who is white, used variations of the N-word more than a dozen times. Bobby Walker, the vice chair of the New York State Republicans at the time, also described rape as epic in another abhorrent exchange, the texts show. In a vicious rant in June, then chair of New York's Young Republicans, Peter Giunta, said everyone who didn't vote for him to become chair of the group's national federation would be going to the gas chamber, according to the report. Giunta also reportedly said, "I love Hitler," in response to a message from the chair of the Kansas Young Republicans in yet another ugly exchange.
Good morning, everybody. This is VANSILK. Common sense. Another lesson today in having common sense. This past week on Politico, we got some young Republicans who has a group chat. And these are young Republicans who are representing certain states, and one of them actually works on the staff of Donald Trump administration. And it saddens me to see the future in the political world, how racist these young people were. J.D. Vance, the vice president, want to call them kids. You're 30 and 35 years old, you're not a child. And see, what we knew that they was going to implement that narrative about them being kids. But these are grown people. These are adults. How are they kids? For the type of language that they used and what they said about people in general, how they love Hitler and black people, and they want to go to see basketball, they'll go to the zoo. I guess they're referring to, as I was cut off, referring to people, as I stated, as monkeys and gorillas. And it took a while for the Trump administration to address this situation. It took the Republican Party to act like, what they did was innocent, locker room talk. I don't get it. I don't understand. What I've done is I grab a few people on social media who address this situation in their own opinion. Fair use, no, not trying to disrespect anybody's content. But I just feel that in the country that we live in today, in society that we live in today, that we have to do better, especially if you are the leading a country, you got the loudest speaker, to where you, President of the United States, should have addressed this situation. And I don't understand why we have to live like this in 2025. You'll look at the beautiful scenery out here in Florida. I'm an American. I was born here in America. We have a serious problem when the president don't address the situation. The press secretary trying to overstep it. The House Speaker looks at it like it was basically nothing. They was trying to sweep it under the carpet. And you got the vice president calling them kids. They're not 9 and 10-year-olds. These are people who are 20, 25, 30, 35 years old. And these are the kind of conversations that they had that eventually got leaked to the public. I stand by what I say. I say it's disgusting, it's distasteful, and they should be reprimanded. They should never be allowed to ever be in political or politics at all. And the staff member that works for the Trump administration should be relieved of his duties. I mean, if you look at what's going on, George Santos, who was sentenced to 7 years federal time for lying and all kind of things as a senator, his sentence was communion by Trump. He wasn't pardoned, but it was a communion, meaning that, okay, he can go live his life. Now he want to work on prison reform. When is this going to stop? When are we going to stand up as Americans and say, hey, being a racist is just being a racist? And this is what we are faced with. But imagine if this was never leaked. And imagine how many conversations they had like this, talking about people and Jews, and women, and voting, and black people, and watermelon, and calling us monkeys and gorillas, and how they love Hitler. This is what we're faced with. Y'all let me know. There's other opinions that's included into this chapter of Common Sense with VANSILK. Leave your opinion, and your voice do count. Have a blessed day. Y'all have a blessed day.
Some bad apples. These are the future of the Republican Party. This was so vile. It is hard to find the words to put into context that these are people who are part of a political party, one of two major political parties, and they believe in gas chambers and rape and discrimination based on the color of people's skins. These are racist, sexist, disgusting remarks. And I would say this. We have a leader from the Republican Party in this state, the highest ranking individual, who in the backdrop of all this calls our candidate for mayor, one of our candidates for mayor, a jihadist and a terrorist. And then somehow says, oh, what they said, these young Republicans, was wrong. Like, look at what you say yourself. Look at your inflammatory words. And maybe they have an effect on these young people, many of whom you support and have supported you. And you ought to just do a little re-examination of how far this has gone, where this is normalized enough that thousands of texts are uncovered. This is not one person saying they love Hitler. There's a whole lot of people saying things that are so disgusting and so abhorrent that everybody from the president on down should condemn them. And there's got to be consequences. Kick them out of the party. Take away their official roles. Stop using them as campaign advisors. There needs to be consequences.
Four members of the National Young Republicans are out of a job this morning for participating in a private chat on Telegram that was filled with racial slurs and jokes about gas chambers and rape. Politico first broke the story. The group's board of directors denounced messages, calling them vile and inexcusable. In one of those chats, according to Politico, a state lawmaker's aide said anyone who votes no is going to the gas chamber. That person has since apologized after getting fired. Vice President J.D. Vance had this to say.
Kids do stupid things, especially young boys they tell edgy, offensive jokes like that's what kids do. And I really don't want us to grow up in a country where a kid telling a stupid joke, telling a very offensive stupid joke, is cause to ruin their lives. And
I wanted to talk about this not just because everyone in Washington is talking about it, but because of the vice president speaking out where he did on the Charlie Kirk show, which we know has a very youthful audience.
I just want to note that some of those kids on the group chat are older than me, so.
Yeah, there's definitely someone in their 40s, so we're being liberal use of boys.
I think it's a very liberal use of boys will be boys. I think that the venue in which the vice president gave those comments is kind of creating a permission structure for people to say, if Democrats aren't going to denounce Jay Jones or a figure like Jay Jones for their comments, and we don't have to denounce this language. And my question is how far does that extend?
We have so much poisonous rhetoric in our political system that it's very easy to say, okay, well, maybe that was bad, but what about this one?
Just do the right thing. What Jay Jones said was horrible. What these kids said was horrible. Creating a permission structure for people to be horrible and to be racist and homophobic and anything else, that is not what we should be doing, and that is not what our country.
I'm a white woman that has lived in a red state my entire life, and I can tell you when I'm around white people, they test the racist water. They test it on people like you all the time, and they'll try to say off-color things. I put my hand up. It absolutely happens, and you're fortunate that maybe you haven't experienced this.
Grow up. I'm sorry. Focus on the real issues. Don't focus on what kids say in group chats.
Just to make it clear, these were not kids. These were all grown men between the ages of 18 and 40, but Vance keeps calling them kids.
The reality is that kids do stupid things, especially young boys. They tell edgy, offensive jokes like that's what kids do. And I really don't want us to grow up in a country where a kid telling a stupid joke, telling a very offensive stupid joke, is cause to ruin their lives. And at some point, we're all going to have to say, enough of this BS.
Now, keep in mind, the texters referred to black people as monkeys and watermelon people. They fantasized about raping enemies and driving them to suicide. They supported slavery and sending political opponents to gas chambers to, quote, watch people burn now. Now, here is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at CNN's town hall tonight talking about Republicans and the influence that they have on social media.
They have been successful because they have also been very clear, especially digitally, about what they believe. That women are inferior, they do not deserve equal rights, that they believe that LGBTQ Americans are subhuman, that they believe and are circulating disgusting racial and white supremacist messaging that they are able to get away with digitally and online.